imagine waking up in the morning and first thing you see when you come downstairs, look on the counter and there's a letter. And that letter is from your beloved. And it says something like this. It feels like you don't care about my well-being. And if there isn't food in the house, it means I eat junk and I put on weight. And it's all your fault. I'm exhausted, but you always ask what's wrong. It's your fault. And I always have to wake up when our baby cries at night and you don't even bother. It affects me so much. First thing in the morning. So what are you going to do about that? And that's what we're talking about today.
What's up, Marco Bella family? So the last time we did couch time, we talked about the share bag. But we actually didn't talk about the share bag.
No.
We mentioned it and then we completely forgot about it because we got into some level 5 conversation, which was so deep that we just forgot about the share bag. But we thought we'd come back to it, as after having some conversation with some girlies who were newlyweds, we realised that some people are finding it difficult to have difficult conversations. So Mark was like, why don't we do a video on the share bag? And now we're going to tell you all about it and how it works. When I was training to be a social worker, they did this thing called protective behaviours, which is teaching children how to talk about their feelings and how to communicate with grown-ups and other people around them, around the things that are worrying them or troubling them. One day we made a share bag, and this is one of the things in our social work toolkit. You can take it with you when you go on visits. And how it works is you get a tote bag and you design it to make it look all inspirational. Ours says, share your worries,
hopes,
dreams,
anything,
thoughts,
achievements,
cares,
feelings,
upsets,
mistakes,
fears,
prayers,
concerns. And then on the other side it says, share anything no matter how big or small. So one of the things we want to cultivate in our family is that there's nothing too big or too small that you can't share and talk about. And in the first couple of years in our marriage, this was an asset because it gave us a one-step removed tool for talking about difficult conversations. So if there was something like that letter that Mark just read out that I wanted to talk about, instead of me going, you don't care about me, and you and all that, I could just write it down, put it in the share bag, and then Mark will come and see, oh, I've got mail, something in the share bag. And then he would read it and process it, and then come back at a later time, maybe when we're having couch time, like we did in the other video. And then we talk about it and say, oh, there's this thing in the share bag, let's discuss it.
So for example, this is what we would do. When we're having couch time, we'll sit together and then we'll bring the share bag out and then we'll say, right, let's have a look inside. What's in the share bag today? You've got mail. So this is what one of the notes from Bethel said. Hi, Mark. Just felt overwhelmingly proud of you this morning. From the time you said you would take over and make sure we were financially okay, you have done just that. I honour your commitment to the shifts that you do and the fact that a little goes a long way. I appreciate you. So that was a compliment from Bethel because at the time, I think
That was in 2015.
2015, I think I was still in university and I had to take some...
Uni.
Or were you in uni? Yeah, and I had to take some extra shifts just to help out with the financial situation. I think at the time you'd been dealing with the finances and so I took over, which was my promise. And so after doing that, Bethel was just like, actually, do you know what? Let me just compliment you. So that was a compliment from Bethel to me. So you can imagine how that made me feel in the moment, right? After she just said that. It's like a big thank you. So I felt all fuzzy inside, which is great. And I think I wrote you one, did I?
Yeah.
That's on that particular day.
Yeah, so... Yeah, he did. Seeing that plate of dinner made me feel so warm inside. That's precisely what I was longing for, and you've just comprehensively met that need. Remember his needs, her needs, guys? What's that? The need for domestic help. I think that's so. What it is. Yeah. Thank you so much for being so thoughtful. I'm appreciative of your expression of it. One happy husband. Smiley face. So guys, just in this little note, it is loaded with compliments.
Yeah, exactly.
And it is just also loaded with like words of affirmation to me, which is also a love language. Get the book if you haven't got it, guys.
Yeah.
But from reading that note, I feel these warm fuzzies inside, and he is depositing things into my love bank, guys. That's another thing we talked about. So well done, Mark. 5 points on that one.
Well, thank you. So here's one that Bethel, she gave part of a compliment and then approached a completely different conversation that needed to be addressed in the same note. So it says, I appreciate everything you do in the house. I just wonder sometimes about replacing the bin liner. Smiley face. So she's appreciating me for all the work that I do in the house. However, she's also noticed that I happen to forget to do the bin liner. And so she's like, mate, what's going on with that? But it's done in such a very subtle. A very, a complimentary way, and so it's not offensive. Do you get what I mean? So we can actually have conversation.
Then?
Well, I just thought, okay, fine, I get it. Thank you, and we need to sort out the bin liner. Okay, I see. And I'm also probably thinking, I bet you could do it yourself as well. I don't know.
Yeah, that's his thing. So his theory is you can do it yourself. I'm like, I didn't decide to empty the bins. You did. By the way, we still have this conversation.
Oh, no, so it's only because so whenever I
actually.
No, you're right. So whenever I empty the bin liner, most times I tend to forget to actually put a new bin liner in there. So that's something I'm just working on.
But I didn't realise he forgot about it. If he forgot about it, I'd gladly do it. I thought he just deliberately didn't replace it.
No.
Surely.
I think my mind just kind of moves on. So where I've taken the bin out, it's like one of those things where it's like you've taken the load out and it's like actually you just forget to replace it. So, but yeah, so that was a compliment. And also, hey, by the way, you forgot to do the bin liner. Mind sorting that out. So yeah. So the second thing we use the share bag for is to have difficult conversation. And here is an example of that.
So, hi Bethel Rose. It would be nice if when you've been working all day at home, you could afford your best friend 5 minutes of your precious time just to climatize and see if they're okay. So I think what was happening there, if I can remember correctly, is that I was too occupied with whatever work I was doing.
Oh yeah, Bethel would come in the house, after work she'd come in the house, she'd just go into her own zone, for the next however long, and I remember just thinking, hang on, what? I know we've all had work and it's been busy, it's been crazy, but it'd be nice just to say hi. I've had a really difficult day. And so the best way I thought to approach that conversation, rather than be all antagonistic, I just thought actually put it in a share bag. She can have some space to reflect and see whether or not that's true. And then you could sit down during couch time and then actually talk through it. So
yeah, which was really effective.
And did it work? I think it did work at the time. It was quite effective when we did that.
It did.
And I think I've got one here. But this one's a compliment. Can I have another one? Oh, no, this one's a really good one. So I think at the time I must have been going through something, but however, I wasn't actually verbalizing whatever I was going through. So Bethel wrote me this, hey honey, with a smiley face on it. And he says, I really want to know what is stressing you out. Please write a letter describing in detail exactly what is stressing you and how it is impacting on you and what I can do to help. And so you can imagine when I read that, I think it made me realise, first of all, that actually I hadn't verbalised whatever I was going through. I just internalised everything. Yeah. But it was showing on the outward, which was obviously unfair to Bethel because I was just, I'd isolated myself. And I was in this space where everything was just happening here and I was leaving you out. And so that just brought me back to, awakened me to, snap. I've left Bethel out and I need to communicate.
The thing is, 12 years on now, I can see it in his face. The subtle expressions that Mark does when he's stressed. I can tell. If I look closely at him, I can tell that he's stressed out. So I'll just go read his journal. So now we use the journal. But I'm like, ooh, there's something going on. Let me go read his journal. And 9 times out of 10, there's something in there for me to read.
Yeah, that's true. That's so true. But you can see the impact that this has, though, the difference that it makes. We were able to have a breakthrough conversation, all because Bethel actually wrote this piece of paper, put it in a share bag, and voila.
And here's another one where Mark puts it very sweetly and gently. But he kind of also tells me that I'm not going to give you everything you want, woman.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
He says, I want you to know that I care for you. So he's reaffirming that he's there for me. And I am concerned about your well-being, which kind of goes to the first one when I said, you don't care about my well-being.
Yes.
And understand, though, that sometimes it's not always easy to give you what you want. But as for what you need, I'm your man. Smiley face.
Wow.
That was profound, I guess.
Very.
And that actually...
I mean, there are moments when I turn into a guru. Moments.
It reminds me of that message that was preached by Brother Gwenna that said actually wants and needs are different.
Yeah.
And God will give you what you need all the time because he's your provider. But he will not always give you what you want.
Yeah.
And it's
Absolutely.
similar with your husband because you're supposed to take Christ in that situation, isn't it?
And I don't know whether this is relevant or not, but I remember at the time, because there's this thing that happens in marriages where we expect the other partner to bring, or the spouse to bring us joy. And we're supposed to actually first be happy with ourselves and bring that to the table so that everybody can be happy. And I think that's what the conversation is probably linked to.
Linked to that. I remember you once saying, like, I am not your source of happiness. That was really profound again, because I was like, oh, that's really true. Because Mark, he does make me happy and he does entertain me a lot. Like, he does, you know, he keeps me laughing and that kind of stuff. But yeah, so at one point he was like, so if I'm not like doing all that, then are you actually happy? You know, I shouldn't be the source of your happiness. And that is so true, guys. Take a minute to reflect. Are you happy just as yourself? Or are you constantly waiting for your spouse to bring you flowers or take you somewhere or do something exciting? Or,
So you can be happy.
Exactly.
So at the beginning of the video, I read you this notes that Bethel had left for me in the share bag. And this is the one that was talking about her weight, it was talking about her well-being, and it was also talking about how, I always keep forgetting the third point. Micah, yes, would sleep. And so this is how we actually approached the conversation after I had read through the note.
So when Micah was a baby, he didn't used to sleep and it was so stressful. I also had put on tons of weight after his pregnancy. So I would probably say like there was some postnatal depression going on at that point, but I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah,
and I think that's a topic that's not really spoken about, and we will talk about it because it's very important for you to be aware of what is going on with your emotions.
Because we are people of faith.
Yeah.
And we rarely believe in that stuff because we pray for things and they get sorted.
It's also just a really taboo subject. Like mental health is such a taboo subject.
But I think it's about it goes back to praying about something you're aware of. And at the time, as you said,
I wasn't really aware of it.
Aware of it.
I mean, people did say maybe you've got the baby blues and kind of downplayed it, but I didn't know how deeply I was affected until I came out of it. So at that time, I was like, it feels like you don't care about me, like everything's wrong. And then also, like Mark was buying the food at the time. He was doing the weekly shop because he found it easier. And then when I go shopping, I tended to put like 1,000 things in the trolleys. So it was,
but I was just shopping list, and Bethel comes back with extra stuff that could actually account for another weekly shop.
So he was more effective in that. So he was doing the weekly shop. But then sometimes what would happen with Mark is that like he'd get busy and then he wouldn't do the shop. So then what would happen is I'd just end up eating bread or something like junk in the house. So that's why I said if there's no food in the house, I'll just end up eating junk. And so then we had that conversation. I was like, honey, I really need you to do the shopping on time. So if it's a Friday, it's a Friday. And I know that I'm expecting you to go on a Friday. And then I can account for the week in terms of my food and my diet and exercise and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which you did. And so the last thing was about my son. And obviously he, at that time, was waking up in the night, always calling mummy, mummy, mummy. And so I would go in all the time. And then I said to Mark, I really need you to help me. But after discussing it, we realised that Mark would go in there, but
I want mommy.
yeah,
not
our child
you,
wouldn't
daddy,
settle.
mommy.
He would want me, and then Mark would feel like he'd been pushed away by him and stuff because he'd physically push him away as well sometimes. But we did actually just have to work through that because there's no way that I can be the only source of comfort for our son. Even up to now, in the middle of the night, he'll say, "Mommy, mommy," but I'm like, "No, you go," because if I go, I'm stuck in there for 40 minutes. If he goes, he's only in there for 5.
I was going to say, so if you're actually doing analysis on all the notes that are within the share bag, excluding the complimentary ones, what you will see is just a cry for help, a cry for support, for somebody just to give you some attention and just to help you out in a situation where you are in need. And that was quite interesting for me because what we all need from each other is just that extra bit of TLC.
So that is the share bag, guys. That's how it works. And we take you back to our challenge because we've been setting challenges as our anniversary is next week, Wednesday. We will be 12 years married.
Can you believe?
Woo-hoo. So the first challenge that we set people was to have couch time. And some people wrote back and said that they go for walks instead. That's absolutely fine. All we're saying is have a level 5 conversation with your spouse.
Yeah.
See how that goes, or your significant other, or a family member, friend, whichever. That's the first thing. Second thing was to journal.
Do you journal?
Do you journal? Have you watched Mark's video on journaling? So the second thing was to journal. And now the third thing would be to either create a share bag or a box or whatever space that you want to put your communication notes in and start using it. Tell us how it works. You can use it with your children. This actually would be really good to use with kids.
Yeah.
When our kids are able to write as well, it'll be a really, really good one. You can also just use like emoji faces for kids so they can just tell you how they're feeling. That's a really nice one to do too.
Or thumbs up, thumbs middle,
Thumbs up,
down.
thumbs middle, thumbs down. That's actually that's one of our things we do all the time. We use that in Sunday school and we do use that at home. We're like, how are you feeling today? He's like,
Sometimes you get the twist.
yeah.
They do it like that.
The switch, we call
Call
it.
the switch.
It's like, I'm kind of... If you are too shy to put comments in the comments box below and you have our mobile number, which means you are our friend or family member, text us personally and say done. If you are not our friend or family member, there are multiple ways that you can tell us that you have done the 3 challenges. You can comment in the comment box below. You can email us at marcobellamarriages@gmail.com, which is also in the description. You can also text us on our work number, which will be in the comment box below. Guys, 3 different ways of telling us that you have achieved these wonderful challenges. We will be giving away a journal kit, just like Marco's, and we'll be giving away 2 because if you're a couple, it'd be good to both journal. See who gets there first. I used to journal, to be honest with you, I used to journal too, but you know, once the kids came along, God help me, I am trying my best. I journal like every month, something like that.
Yeah.
But
to be
yeah,
fair, you've got journals dotted around the house.
I've got them, and I've got ones from previous before we had kids, which were filled with every single day 6 a.m. journals. Like that was my time. Like before exercise, pray, journal, exercise. That was my routine.
That's true.
With babies, it's a little bit trickier to do that, but I am praying that once Rhea starts sleeping through the night, I will get back to some kind of consistency in that. Because I was inspired by Mark's journaling video, and it was really, really good. And I really think, oh my gosh, I want to get back to that as well. So
Thank you.
we'll be giving away a journaling kit, and you know what? We'll throw a share bag in there too.
Yay.
Just to get you guys communicating and using different tools. And you know what? If you try something, see how it goes. It might not work for you, but you may find something along the way that does.
Right, thank you for watching. We'll see you again on the next one. Enjoy your share bag.